Let's talk about one of the biggest, fastest, most spectacular collapses in tech history. We're going to explore the story of a brand that basically invented the smartphone, owned the world, and then lost it all. This is the rise and fall and the very strange second act of BlackBerry.
You really have to remember what it was like back in 2007. Before the iPhone, there was BlackBerry. And it wasn't just a phone. It was a lifeline, a status symbol, an addiction. They even called it the crackberry. From Wall Street traders to the President of the United States, if you were a serious person, you had one. They were, without a doubt, on top of the world.
And then Steve Jobs gets on a stage and shows the world the very first iPhone. And what was BlackBerry's reaction? Well, this quote says it all. They looked at it and saw a toy. A fragile, insecure, battery-draining toy with a terrible keyboard. They thought there was no way their professional customers would ever want something like that. That right there, that's some fatal overconfidence.
So how does that happen? How do you go from commanding nearly half of the entire smartphone market to basically zero in just a handful of years? How does the king lose the crown that quickly? Well, that's exactly the mystery we're going to solve.
But look, before we get to the crash, you've got to understand just how high they flew and why. BlackBerry didn't just get lucky. They built an empire on some truly groundbreaking ideas. Let's do a quick run-through of the history. The company, Research in Motion, started way back in '84. But the rocket fuel really got added in '92 when co-CEO Jim Balsillie teamed up with founder Mike Lazaridis. You had the business shark and the engineering genius. They launched a pager in '99, add a phone in 2002, and by 2007, boom, they've reached the summit. So what was their secret sauce? Well, it was a few things. First, their push email was magic. You got your emails instantly and it was ridiculously secure. Second, that physical QWERTY keyboard. Oh man, it was so satisfying and fast to type on people. People literally got BlackBerry thumb. And then there was BBM, BlackBerry Messenger. It was basically WhatsApp before WhatsApp existed, a free private messaging network that everyone was hooked on.
And then the meteor hit. The iPhone didn't show up trying to be a better BlackBerry. No, it was playing a totally different game. It was a beautiful full-screen window to the entire internet. It was about media, music, and most importantly, it was about this brand new idea called the App Store, which would change absolutely everything. So what you have here is a head-on collision of two completely different ways of thinking. BlackBerry was building a workhorse, a tool for efficiency and security. Apple was building a playground, a device for entertainment and personal expression. BlackBerry was betting that work and play would stay separate, and man, were they ever wrong.
So, BlackBerry starts feeling the heat. They know they have to do something to compete with this new touchscreen craze. And in their panic, they rushed out a product that would go down as one of the most legendary failures in tech.
See, their partner, Verizon, was screaming for an iPhone killer. So BlackBerry scrambled and tried to build their first touchscreen phone in just 9 months. The result was a device so buggy, so fundamentally broken, that its own employees had a nickname for it. And it wasn't a very nice nickname.
I mean, this phone was a train wreck. The screen was this bizarre clickable thing called SurePress that was just awful to use. It didn't have Wi-Fi, which in 2008 was just unforgivable. And the software, it was a slow, crashing nightmare. It was so bad, the return rate was nearly 100%. Think about that. Almost every single person who bought one brought it back.
The financial hit was staggering. Verizon later said they lost $500 million just dealing with the fallout and replacing all those broken phones. The iPhone killer didn't just fail to kill the iPhone, it blew up in BlackBerry's face and destroyed the one thing they had left, the reputation for making things that just worked. And the aftermath of the storm was just brutal. You can see the result right here. The fall wasn't gradual, it was a nosedive. While BlackBerry was fumbling, Apple's iOS and Google's Android were building these huge, vibrant app stores that developers and users flocked to. In the blink of an eye, BlackBerry went from the leader to a total afterthought.
So let's break it down. What were the nails in the coffin? Well, they totally missed the boat on the App Store. They didn't get that software was the new battlefield. There was a civil war at the top between the two CEOs, which led to total paralysis. And then, huge network outages in 2011 killed their last claim to fame, reliability. Finally, in 2016, it was over. The company that basically created the modern smartphone officially waved the white flag. They announced they were done making their own hardware. And for most people, that was the end of the BlackBerry story. Or So we thought. Okay, this is where the story takes a really unexpected turn, because from the ashes of that spectacular smartphone failure, something new and surprisingly successful began to grow.
So you're probably thinking, all right, BlackBerry is dead, right? A relic of the past, like Palm Pilots and pagers. Case closed. Well, not exactly.
Not only is BlackBerry not dead, it's actually thriving. They pulled off one of the smartest pivots in tech history. They realized their real strength wasn't making phones, it was making ultra-secure, ultra-reliable software. And there's a good chance you're using it every single day without even knowing it, especially if you drive a car.
The hero of this new story is a piece of software called QNX. Think of it as an operating system for things that absolutely, positively cannot crash. You can't have your car's braking system or airbags get the blue screen of death, right? Well, that's what QNX ensures. It runs everything from your dashboard, infotainment screen, to the critical safety systems.
And this isn't some small, niche business. We're talking about more than 255 million cars on the road today running on BlackBerry QNX software. We're talking BMW, Ford, Toyota, Mercedes. The biggest names in the business trust them.
And the future looks pretty bright, too. The company has a backlog of over $865 million in future royalties from car companies. That's basically money they're already guaranteed to make. By letting go of the phone business, they found a whole new and very profitable reason to exist.
When you look back, the BlackBerry story is the ultimate cautionary tale. It shows what happens when a leader gets too comfortable, dismisses the next big thing as a toy, and forgets to adapt. And it leaves you with a really fascinating question to think about. Which giant of today is making the same mistakes? Who's next?